It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Broadcasting from coast to coast,
city to city, coast to coast.
It's time for the Ryan Hickey Show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If it's happening in sports, it's being talked about right here. And here's your host, Ryan Hickey.
Good Thursday morning and welcome into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show with yours truly right here until 11 a.m. Eastern. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you making your Thursday, or I should say including us, as part of your Thursdays. We hopefully, just for the next 2 hours, make it a little more enjoyable and make it a little easier as we cruise on into the weekend. Hopefully you had a nice, enjoyable weekend lined up. Staying safe and staying sane as always. And like I said, a really fun, really jam-packed show to talk to you about today. A lot to get into. One QB situation. Let's look at the NFL. We've really had two situations with quarterbacks that at least we know a little more details this week. One, I think it's getting handled right. One, I think it's handled getting in the wrong way. I'll tell you that in just about 15 minutes or so. With some young quarterbacks, we'll see. One in the AFC, one in the NFC. 9:40, we will talk a little MLB postseason whip around. Now, I understand really Major League Baseball, especially the postseason, almost got kind of brushed under the rug. Obviously, the NFL season is in full swing. The finals of the NBA is going on. There's just a lot of sports going on at one time. And baseball, for all of the public outlash, or I should say public fighting that they've had, and trying to get a season going, had a 60-game season. A lot of people didn't take it seriously, including yours truly. But now we have reached the division round series, and it's been great. The wild card round has been great. The best out of three I really like. The ALDS, the NLDS have been great so far. I'll kind of take you around and give you some of my thoughts from all four series. We'll do that at 9:40 or so. Top of the 10 o'clock hour. Had a little bit of breaking news. And again, par for the course of this show, as it always does happen. Breaking news. Big-time news in the sports world always usually tends to break either right after the show ends or as close to us getting off the air as possible, so that way it's a longer time for us to talk about it. And that news, Bill O'Brien and the Texans are no longer in business together. The Texans have fired their head coach and general manager, Bill O'Brien, and now will make Romeo Crennel their current head coach the rest of the season. There's been one head coaching rumor that has been kind of thrown out there, and even he was asked about it, and that is Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Would he be interested in coaching the Texans? Obviously, he coached Deshaun Watson for 2 years at Clemson when they won a national title, went to another one. Could Dabo reunite with Deshaun Watson in Houston next year and kind of have that head coach and quarterback tandem working together? I'll tell you why, top of the 10 o'clock hour. 52 minutes from now, to be exact. Dabo Swinney, if he is hired by the Texans, would be one of the worst, if not the worst, head coaching hire in NFL history. I have no doubts in my mind that will be the case. I'll explain to you why. Again, 10 a.m., 10:20. NBA Finals game number 5 is tomorrow. Lakers up 3-1 with a chance to close it out and get a 4th championship for LeBron James. Going back to game 2. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to game 4 on Tuesday night. Well, the Lakers did something I didn't think they were capable of. The Lakers finally did something that I called them out for in the entire postseason, had my doubts, and they finally proved me wrong. I'll tell you what, that was 10:20, and of course, it's a Thursday. We're getting you ready for the weekend. Hickey's Pickies. Another week. I'm very excited about our guest picker here. He is a Hawaiian, not native, but he is an Hawaiian local, we'll say, back on the East Coast. And he is going to join us for Hickey's Pickies at 10:40 to close out the show. A rough few weeks for the celebrity pickers. My guy Maldi 1-4, Kroll last week, Tyler 2-3. So after Lauren went 5-0, it's been a little rough stretch here for the celebrity guest pickers last week. So we'll see if Danny can turn it around and get some momentum going for those celebrity guest pickers. But as always, as a reminder before we start here, we're coming to you live from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios, where it's great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal dinners. Check out Big Italy Pizzeria in their 2 locations, either one in Medford or Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, same chain. So if you're out in Medford, Big Italy Pizzeria. If you're in the Bayshore area, what's up? Joe's Pizzeria. Or online, if you're anywhere, globally, BigItalyPizza.com. But we'll start with the biggest news of the week. The biggest news coming out of the NFL. And unfortunately, we did talk Monday about the NFL's handling of the coronavirus so far and, basically handling of their first COVID outbreak within the Titans organization. And now, last week, after that outbreak first happened, Roger Goodell sent a stricter, harsher memo, basically outlining if protocols aren't followed, if social distancing isn't adhered to, if masks aren't being worn, if players are gathering illegally, punishments will be coming. Draft picks, fines, and even forfeitures of games. And now we are possibly seeing another game having to get changed, having to get moved, maybe even forfeited. Because again, yesterday, 2 more Titans tested positive. Total of 21 members, including 11 players now have tested positive. And Adam Schefter just this morning, just 4 minutes before we got in the air, just about 10 minutes ago. So there's another Titans player that's positive this morning. There's an inconclusive test from yesterday that now is confirmed positive. So the Titans facility remains closed. No in-person workouts allowed. And now their game against the Bills this Sunday is in serious, serious jeopardy. So the question I want to kind of ask you here and discuss and break into here is, should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game against the Bills? It's almost inevitable now with multiple tests coming back positive on Thursday, but the facility still remain closed, that it's going to be almost basically impossible to play this game on Sunday. And because the Bills are playing on Thursday night next week, a week from today, you can't move the game to Monday. You can't move the game to Tuesday like they just did with the Chiefs and the Patriots. So it's Sunday or bust. So should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game against the Bills? Because not only is a COVID outbreak going on within the Titans organization, yesterday, Paul Kaharski, a great reporter in the Tennessee area, broke the news that Titans players last week, when their game against the Steelers was still up in the air, when it was postponed but not yet canceled, Titans players last week on Wednesday broke protocols and met on a field to practice when they were told to stay home in quarantine. Right, so we talked about last week, or I guess it was Monday, I apologize, when we were talking about how the NFL has handled the COVID outbreak so far. The Titans last week, when they had positive tests popping up every single day, were told the facility is closed, starting on Tuesday. At the earliest, it's going to open up on Saturday, and then we will play a game on Sunday. But all the meetings will be virtual. Basically, the entire week will be virtual, just like a lot of the offseason has been. Stay at home, quarantine, get yourself ready how you have to get ready, but no meeting in person. No practices, no go to the facility. So that facility was closed on September 29th. And the report is coming out of Paul Kaharski is that an unspecified number of Titans players on Wednesday, the 30th, went to a high school field and basically held an informal practice with whoever was there. The number is not specific. Players aren't specific, but we do know one player that was reported there was quarterback Ryan Tannehill. So you have the Titans breaking protocol, told to stay home all week, and instead, one day later on Wednesday, in order to get ready for their Sunday game or Monday game against the Steelers, went to a high school field to work out, to get some passes in, and basically try to skirt the system, doing exactly what they were told not to do. So should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game against the Bills on Sunday? I'm curious your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or at Ryan Hickey Show, also on Twitter. I'm saying no. To me, where the blame falls right now, last week specifically, for this Titans gathering of practices, before stricter outlines were given, before harsher punishments were implemented, I blame the NFL, not the Titans. Again, like I said, week in and week out, especially the last few weeks here, the NFL kind of almost put the players in this tough situation. When you roll out the schedule as normal as possible, when you try to play 16 games in 17 weeks with really no workarounds with the schedule, with really no way to be flexible in canceling games and moving games around and postponing them to later times in the season, you kind of force players to make a decision between, are we going to be safe or are we going to give ourselves a chance to win? Because the NFL both wanted to prevent outbreaks, right? Obviously, they want to keep the players safe. But at the same time, they're trying to play every single game as it's scheduled every single week. So when you look at this from the Titans players' perspective, which I am looking at this from, you told them to close the facility until Saturday, don't go to the building, don't practice, basically, be at home, you'll go to virtual meetings, you'll watch film virtually, but you can't catch passes if you're a wide receiver from Ryan Tannehill. You can't be on the field working on your blitzes. with Mike Vrabel in the defense, that doesn't give you much of a chance to win a game that you're supposed to be playing no matter what. Let's be honest here. Right? As we know, there's no offseason training, right? No OTAs. Training camp was extremely short compared to normal. There was no preseason games. So you can roll your eyes and say, oh, practice in the NFL, it doesn't really matter. It's a bunch of walkthroughs anyway. Well, practice this year is extremely, extremely, extremely important, especially in the first weeks of the season. Those reps are more valuable right now than they were really maybe ever in the current modern NFL the way it is. So the Titans players knew if they wanted to have a chance to beat the Steelers on Sunday, if they wanted to have a chance to be competitive and win the game, you got to get the reps somehow. You got to get the timing down. So on last Wednesday, the game was not yet canceled. The game was not yet moved around. It was postponed to maybe be played Monday or Tuesday. But these players, when they decided to gather, when they decided to try to give themselves a chance to win, figured, okay, you know what? We have challenges in front of us. We got to figure out some way to get on the same page because we are expected to go out and compete on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday, and the earliest we can be back in the facility is Saturday. That doesn't work. That doesn't really give us a chance here to compete and have a chance legitimately to win. Because guess what? While the owners think one way, the players don't think the same way. The owners are all about preserving their wealth, right? So they are the ones that signed off and said, you know what, we will quarantine. We'll do whatever we have to do to make sure all 16 games in 17 weeks is played the way it should be. So we have to quarantine for a full week and then play a game, so be it. Whatever we have to do at the end, because as they know, win or lose, those games are played, that's when the checks come in. If games are canceled, if games are postponed, if games can't be made up, that's when the money doesn't come in. That is from the owner's perspective. But the players, now again, they're trying to protect their wealth because if games aren't played, they don't get their own game checks, right? The Bills and the Titans and the Steelers had both, the game last week postponed. They didn't get a game check last week. So those canceled games do hurt the players. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, they are competitors. They are paid to win the games. They are trying to win the games. So you know what? To be honest here, from the player's perspective, you know what they view the virus outbreak as? You know what they view being virtual all week and then expected to play the game on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday? They view that as a competitive imbalance. That's the way they've been programming their entire careers. High school, college, the pros. We will do anything and everything it takes to be prepared and be ready to play at our best. So fault the thinking or not, I'm not saying it's the right way to think about it, or I'm not saying it's the right way to go about your business. But when you look at it from the player's perspective, if you tell them, you got to be virtual all week, but hey, you know what? You're going to be home. We're going to have online meetings. We're going to watch film together, but you can't get on the practice field together. We can't really walk through or visually go through everything we're teaching you right now. But then, at the same time, we'll be on the field and we'll have to play a game on Sunday. So these new routes and these new plays that we're drawing up, can't practice them, but we're going to try to use them on Sunday. The players aren't going to be okay with that. They're going to try to do whatever it takes to close that competitive gap to make sure that they are in the best position to win. Think about it, the Steelers, while the Titans are home this entire week last week, the Steelers were practicing like normal. They're in the facility. They're with their coaches. They were on the field, walking through and talking through everything that they're breaking down on film. The Titans didn't have that. Listen to Ryan Tannehill. Last Wednesday, the day that allegedly these Titans players met illegally, Ryan Tannehill was quoted, I don't know if it was before they met or after they met, but this is Ryan Tannehill last week. This is what he said, quote, "You can't sit around on the couch for a week and be on a Zoom meeting and expect to be at a physical peak on Sunday or whenever the game is going to be played." Ryan Tannehill just told you right there. This is what the players are thinking. You are at home for an entire week and then expected to play a game on Sunday. That is not going to fly. That is not a realistic expectation in order to try to play your best on Sunday. So this is why I fault the NFL, because the players are motivated by competing and winning. They see the money and they're hurt by the money. But their number one focus, their number one goal is to keep your job. And how do you keep your job? By playing your best. How do you play your best? By being as prepared as you possibly can be on the field to take the field every Sunday. And that's if you have to practice, if you have to break the rules in order to meet and be on the same page, so be it. So this is, to me, why I blame the NFL. They should have implemented a Week 18 sort of week to postpone games initially right away, push it till later in the season, and that way you don't force players to make this decision. You put the Titans in a position to make this decision. You can't allow the players to be the ones to make the decision. You got to take the decision out of their hands. There's a reason why independent doctors are on the sideline when it comes to head injuries. Players will lie. Players will do whatever they do to get back in the field to play. So if you have someone that's not paid by the team, that doesn't have the team's best interests out there to say, you know what, this player's hurt. Sure, he's our best player. I'm not feeling 100% that he can go out there safely. We got to pull him off the field. If you left it up to the players, none of them would come off the field. So now why are we leaving this decision basically in the players' hands still? Because guess what? You know what's the same in 2020 as it is every single year? The consequences for playing bad games and losing. We keep saying, right, we've repeated this entire time. Oh, we're in a pandemic. It's a pandemic year. It's going to be different. But is it really different? Because at the same time, expectations are still high. Consequences are still there. They're still the same as they were in previous years. We've already had one head coach fired in Bill O'Brien. Dwayne Haskins, which I want to get to here in a little bit, was already benched for Kyle Allen. Bad play is already being punished the same as it is in previous years. You don't play well, you're getting benched. Your team is not, as a head coach, your team's not playing well, you're getting fired. Forget the fact that you didn't have off-season training activities to kind of get the system down. Forget the fact if you're Dwayne Haskins, you didn't learn the playbook. You didn't have a chance to talk with your coaches in person to understand what they want to do. You're expected in the 2 or 3 weeks you had, or 3 or 4 weeks you had in training camp, to get everything down, be in the best shape of your possible life to get ready to play a season. So we keep saying, it's a pandemic year, like things just are okay. Like, okay, we'll give you a free pass this year. There's no free passes. So when you already shown, as fans, when we get upset about losses, when the media criticizes bad play, when owners are making decisions and coaches are making decisions based on the play that they see, how can you expect the Titans players then to sit on the couch all week, to be at home all week, while the Steelers, their opponent, are practicing like normal, and expect them to be okay with taking the field with a massive competitive imbalance? Players are going to try to be their most ready as much as possible. So this is why, to me, the NFL should have taken this decision out of their hands. Postponing the game right away would have given no incentive or no reason for the Titans players to try to gather and try to practice. So if you want to try to play 16 games in 17 weeks, I'm sorry, this is what happens. And this was before, mind you, the stricter punishments were laid out by Roger Goodell. They met on Wednesday. Thursday, the next day it came out that, hey, if we find you're not in compliance, if you're not socially distancing, if you're not wearing your mask, if you're breaking protocol, fines, or heavy fines are coming. Draft pick losses could be coming. Even forfeitures of games are on the table. All of this was after the Titans met on Wednesday to practice, try to get ready for the Steelers. So while now, yes, if players are found to be practicing illegally, forfeit games. But to be honest, I'm sorry, I can't sit here in good conscience, in good faith, and say, you know what, I blame the Titans for what they did. I can't. They're trying to win. They're trying to do their job as best as possible. If a wide receiver or a running back or an offensive lineman has a bad game and they get cut or they get benched, guess what? We're not looking at that pandemic to say, you know what, sorry, it's a pandemic. It's okay. We'll let you play better. We'll give you another shot because, you know what, we know that the situation is not really the best. We know, you haven't been able to really been given every single tool in order to succeed. It's sorry, you're not playing well, we're on to the next one. Sorry, you give up that pass, or you missed a coverage, or you ran the wrong route. Sorry, we're going to move on to someone better. So I like the NFL implementing stricter rules, but this came after the Titans gathered. Can't retroactively, to me, go back and penalize the Titans now. So sure, it sucks. This game is probably, against the Bills, is probably going to be not played on Sunday. I don't think it should be a forfeit. I really don't. I don't think you can blame the Titans players. I really don't. I'm sorry. So if you're mad at me, if you disagree, I would love to hear your disagreements as to why. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. WWSRN_radio. Love to hear your thoughts. Love to get your tweets. Love to get your comments. Because I know I've already talked to a few different people already. Whether it's one of the hosts I work with on the weekends and Ken Carmen. I love Ken. He was pissed at the Titans. Whether it's someone I know that works at the NFL. Said the Titans practicing is unjustifiable. The NFL technically didn't have a plan of what to do when an outbreak came. So there was no outline, there was no game plan of saying, hey, an outbreak happens, guys. This game's going to be postponed, it's going to be moved. No plan. The plan was to play the game. And the Titans did what players do. Got ready to play the game. So I'm curious your thoughts. Should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game on Sunday? Again, 2 more positive tests came out of Tennessee today. All but likely that game is not going to be played. Should it be a forfeit or should it be moved? Do you blame the Titans for gathering and try to be practicing illegally? Again, I can't do it. I'm sorry. The rules are different last week than they are right now. Back when the rules were not as strict, not as stringent, and you expected the Titans to sit at home all week and then play a game and try to win that game, I'm sorry, I can't blame the players for gathering and trying to practice. I can't. So love your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. Or on Twitter as well, at Ryan Hickey Show. So we're taking your thoughts. Should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game? And we also, when we come back, I want to talk about a quarterback situation. Or I want to talk about 2 quarterback situations that are taking place right now. 2 decisions were made. And I want to discuss one that I think the quarterback situation is getting handled correctly. And one, I think it's the wrong message. It's the wrong way to go about things. I'll tell you which one I like, which one I dislike, when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show, talking about should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game against the Bills. Diana Rossini, great ESPN reporter, just tweeted 3 minutes ago. She's told by both Titans and Bills players that those players were informed that there's an option to moving the Sunday game to either Monday or Tuesday in Nashville. And if that happens, because the Bills are playing next Thursday night, they would move the Bills-Chiefs game to Saturday. So maybe no Thursday night game next week in order to kind of move the schedule around to give the flexibility to try to fit in the Bills-Titans game on either Monday or Tuesday. This is all because now 2 more Titans players tested positive today. Last week they had an outbreak. Again, the number up to, at least yesterday's up to 21. So now it's up to 23 Titans players and staff members that tested positive for the coronavirus. And it's getting kind of everyone charged, everyone juiced up is the fact that there's a report by Paul Kaharski that last week when the Titans players were told stay at home, don't practice, basically don't come to the facility until the earliest on Saturday, they gathered illegally on Wednesday, practiced anyway to get ready for the game either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday against the Steelers. And I'm on an island here. I can already see it. Judging from the social media reaction, based on a few people I've talked to, no one is giving the Titans a pass. No one is understanding the side of the Titans players where they try to be competitors. They try to do whatever they possibly could to get ready for the game. I'm with the Titans players. To be honest, I can't get mad at them. This was before Roger Goodell instituted strict and harsher punishments if protocols aren't followed. Forfeitures are now on the table. Loss of draft picks are also on the table. This was implemented after the Titans allegedly. Now, again, this is being reported. This is not confirmed. The Titans haven't come out and said, yes, we were practicing illegally. Ryan Tannehill, reportedly there at practice at this high school on Wednesday, has not come out and said, you got me. I did it. So this is based on sources that seen the players at the high school. But this report is true. Again, I can't get mad at the players. I'm sorry, I just can't. So I'm curious your thoughts. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Twitter, WWSRN_radio. Or also at Ryan Hickey Show. We'll get to your comments throughout the show. But especially, I'm very curious to hear if anyone is on my side or anyone is within my line of thinking that I can't get mad at the players. I just can't fault them. I'm sorry. They try to do what competitors and players do. Be as prepared as possible to play the game. So taking your thoughts again, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, also on Twitter at Ryan Hickey Show. We get your thoughts. We'll circle back to that. I do want to move on to a quarterback situation, one that I think is handled really well, one that I think is handled not so well. I think there's a mistake being made. And that's coming out of two different teams with two young quarterbacks. The Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and Washington with Dwayne Haskins. Two announcements were made this week. I'll start with the one I agree with. I'll start with the one that I think the situation is being handled correctly. And that's the Dolphins not rushing to start Tua Tagovailoa. Brian Flores this week with some pressure, with some questions, as Ryan Fitzpatrick struggled against the Seahawks. Will Ryan Fitzpatrick be the starter this week? Flores said yes. Then he went on to basically explain why he isn't rushing Tua Tagovailoa onto the field. I want you to hear this answer because I think to me this is the absolute perfect answer. This is the way it should be handled. This is Brian Flores when asked about this is Brian Flores on why he's not rushing to put Tua on the field.
Look, I mean, the honest thing for me is if it was my kid and he had a serious injury like that, I wouldn't want his coach to be in a rush to throw him in there because of media pressure or anything like that. So that's kind of how I approach this situation and really all situations with the players. They, essentially they are my kids. So, there's no one's going to pressure me into doing anything. When we feel like he's ready to go, we'll put him in.
This to me is the exact perfect answer and the exact perfect way to approach your franchise quarterback coming off a major injury. Let's not forget, Tua is coming off a dislocated hip last year in his last college play. This is not an injury you can nor should rush back from. You have to make sure he's 100% physically, mentally, with the playbook, feels comfortable in the pocket before he can take the field. Let me remind you, this is an offensive line of the Dolphins. Now, to their credit, absolutely to their credit, I had my doubts. They've actually played really well so far. They're giving Fitzpatrick time. They're not getting him killed. So they're playing really well. But at the same time, this is an offensive line that's still starting two rookies. 2 out of the 5 spots are being filled by rookies. Now, can they keep it up all year? We'll see. But if you have a slide where these guys start playing bad, you still have a fragile quarterback back there. Again, I told you about Tua. I had my legitimate concerns. Not of his skill, not of his arm, not of his ability to process information. But if he could stay healthy, if he could withstand a pounding. He struggled to stay healthy at Alabama. He had one of the best offensive lines in the country. He had one of the best skill groups in all of college football. He had every weapon possible to make his job as easy as possible. But he still got hurt. Still got dinged up. Still had ankle injuries. And as we know, that hip dislocation is massive. But also, not only making sure that he's ready to go physically and mentally, but also playing a quarterback just in general, not just outside also of Tua, but just overall in general. Whether you draft a quarterback number 1 overall or you sign him that's undrafted free agent. Playing a quarterback because of fan pressure, because of media pressure, or to even save your job if you're a head coach that's on the hot seat and trying to buy yourself some extra time. So you put the young guy in and say, hey, listen, he is still developing. We have a shot here. Give me some more time with him. We'll be okay. That's never a good idea. That rarely, if ever, works out the way you want it to work out. So if Tua just needs a full year, if he needs a redshirt year to get healthy, to understand the playbook, just to get the reps, so be it. Brian Flores is taking the right approach here. There is no reason to rush your franchise quarterback onto the field, put him in harm's way if he's not ready, either physically or, again, understand the playbook or even just to be a professional quarterback. That doesn't do anyone any good. That hurts the growth of your young quarterback. That hurts the trajectory of you as a head coach. So take your time, Brian Flores. I have a lot of faith that he can do this thing the right way. I trust him. Because just throwing a guy in there because you want to see him, because the fans are clamoring to see the top sexy pick. Yeah, let's put him in there. We got him number 5. It's cool. Let's do it. Just doing that because doesn't do you any good. Speaking of a team that's doing that just because. Now, played a quarterback because their owner was impatient, because they drafted him in the first round. They want to see what they got, despite him not being ready. I think Washington is handling their benching of Dwayne Haskins in the wrong way. So I agree with Miami. Take the slow route. No reason to force the issue here or push it. Play it to when he is ready to play. I trust Brian Flores handle this the right way. I don't think Washington has handled the handling of Dwayne Haskins in the right way so far. Now, in case you missed it, earlier this week, Ron Rivera, head coach of Washington, announced that not only is Dwayne Haskins being benched, and Kyle Allen, his former quarterback in Carolina last year that took over when Cam got hurt, not only is Kyle Allen going to be the starter this Sunday, Alex Smith is going to be the backup. So Dwayne Haskins went from first string to third string, not even going to dress on Sunday. And part of this decision-making, part of the reason for the switch, was that Rivera said not only Allen's knowledge of the playbook, right, because, again, he was with Ron Rivera in Carolina last year, so he knows the offensive system. He's familiar with it. He also said that this is, it gives the team overall a better chance to win. But to me, this is way too early to pull the ripcord on Dwayne Haskins. One of the motivations, one of the reasons to get out of the Dwayne Haskins experiment, Ron Rivera acknowledged that because of the way the division is so far, with Washington 1-3, with Philly so far and 1-2-1 leading this division, he said, looking at the division the way it is, seeing how it's shaping up, seeing that we have a chance, he's going for it. So in going for it, and why not put in the best quarterback to give us a chance? That's Kyle Allen. To me, I don't like this philosophy. I don't think that's a winning philosophy. I don't think it does you much good going forward. It is fool's gold if you are Washington to believe you have a chance with the roster you have to compete for the NFC East. I don't care that Dallas is 1-3. I don't care that Philly's 1-2-1. You don't have the horses, you don't have the roster to compete for the NFC East title. So to me, putting Dwayne Haskins on the bench, not seeing what you got at your first round pick, and almost essentially closing the book on your 2019 first rounder, you're hurting your own future progress. You are looking at the short-term goals and hurting your long-term view, which is Ron Rivera is brought here for the long-term view. He wasn't brought here to win right now. He wasn't tasked with making the Washington a playoff team this year. He was tasked with turning this organization around, and that is a long rebuild. As we've seen, all the horrific stories that have come out of Washington, all the bad stories here about Dan Snyder and his leadership. To change an entire toxic culture around takes a lot of time. So I credit Ron Rivera for the changes he's made already. But what I don't agree with, to me, essentially closing the book on Dwayne Haskins, seeing enough already, and not giving him a true chance to show you what he's got. You play Dwayne Haskins the rest of the year, you see what you have. The evaluation right now is too rushed. Like, how can you honestly come to a conclusion of how good a quarterback is or isn't after just 11 starts? Dwayne Haskins has 11 starts, 7 last year and 4 this year. I'm sorry, that's not enough of a sample size. Especially considering when you have 2 new coaching staffs coming in. You had really almost, two systems last year and now a new one this year. The Jay Gruden was fired halfway through the year. So I'm not saying Dwayne Haskins is going to be this all-pro quarterback, and he's been very inconsistent. Extremely inconsistent. We went back and watched a lot of his games for the first 4 games this year. The one word I can use to sum it up is inconsistency. He's had some great throws, and he'll follow that up right with bad reads, overthrows, not accurate, just some overall bad decisions. But he's not overall a bad quarterback, no promise, no hope. He has shown flashes of being good. So why not give him a chance to show that? Why not work through some of these growing pains here to see, all right, listen, we invested a lot in Dwayne Haskins. We put a first-round pick in him. We invested a first-round pick in Dwayne Haskins. And I think his progress was hurt because they planned on redshirting him last year. Jay Gruden was not going to play him. They didn't think he was ready. They wanted to give him time to understand the playbook, understand the NFL speed. And because Dan Snyder was impatient, wanted to see, the top pick on the field, they fired Jay Gruden and mandated that Dwayne Haskins start. And now, to me, his development has been severely staggered. I'm not really sure where it goes from here in Washington. Haskins is going to need a do-over. He's going to need a fresh start. Because to me, in benching Haskins this early, 4 games in, going to Kyle Allen, trying to win the division, essentially all but ends with Dwayne Haskins' era in Washington. And I think it's, to me, too early to do so. I think it's definitely too early to do so. So I'm curious your thoughts. Dolphins are now rushing it with Tua. Washington benching Dwayne Haskins. Essentially, he's gone from first string to third string. I don't want to overreact 4 games in. But I don't see how Dwayne Haskins really kind of shakes out or works out here in Washington. This is the end of the Dwayne Haskins era. So do you like what's going on with Miami? Do you agree with what Washington is doing in benching Ron Rivera? I'm curious your thoughts on how the handling so far of these 2 quarterbacks is going down. So if you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show as well. Really love to hear your feedback on that. And we're also talking a lot of Titans. Titans practiced last week illegally, comes out on a report. More positive tests come out, and now their game against the Bills is in jeopardy. We'll keep you updated as updates come out throughout the morning, but more positive tests this morning really puts in doubt their Sunday game against the Bills. Should they be forced, to forfeit their game against the Bills? I say no, but I would love to hear your thoughts. Same thing. Worldwide Sports Radio Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, or at Ryan Hickey Show. So get your NFL thoughts, and when we come back, Major League Baseball postseason in full swing. Give you my thoughts so far from the 4 DS Division Series, ALDS, NLDS Series, when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network talking a lot of NFL. Players have more positive tests coming out of the Tennessee Titans organization. Their game against the Bills is in jeopardy this week. Maybe they can move the schedule around to push the game to either Monday or Tuesday, similar to what they did last week with the Chiefs and the Patriots. A little more difficult because the Bills play a Thursday night game next week, but that seems to be possibly moved around as well. So I'm curious your thoughts on Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show, also on Twitter. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Should the Titans forfeit against the Bills? They broke protocol. They gathered when they weren't supposed to gather. The NFL later last week, after they gathered, put out the mandate that, hey, if you are found to be violating the protocol, if you are found to not be following everything you're supposed to be following, you're going to get in trouble. That could be forfeiting games. That could be losing draft picks. But I can't sit here and get mad at the Titans players. I really can't. So talking about that, we're talking about 2 quarterback controversies, or should say 2 quarterback situations more is the proper way to say it, I should say. That are going on. One in Miami, one in Washington. Dolphins taking their time with Tua, I think is the right move, and also Washington benching Dwayne Haskins, I think personally is the wrong move. Love to get your thoughts again. Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, at Ryan Hickey Show, also on Twitter. So get your thoughts, but I do want to kind of get into here some Major League Baseball postseason. Don't look past baseball. A lot of great games are going on. 4 great series so far. We'll go a little whip around. MLB postseason whip around. Love to get your thoughts. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll talk some baseball, some postseason baseball. We'll start with the Rays and Yankees. Man, if you haven't heard of this player's name, I would get to know it. There is no hitter right now in the postseason hotter than the Rays' Randy Arozarena. Now, not only is Arozarena hitting, this is no mistake here. Arozarena in the postseason. So 4 games so far. 5 games. Played 3 against the Yankees and 2 in their sweep over the Blue Jays. 5 games, Randy Arozarena in the postseason is hitting .727 with 3 homers so far. Let me repeat that. He is hitting .727 in the postseason. I don't care if it's a 5-game sample size. You're playing against the team's best pitchers every single night in pressure situations. And here's a Randy Arozarena. Every 4 at-bats getting on 3 times. Insane. So not only does Randy Arozarena just completely locked in, mashing the ball so far, he has taken the crown from Adeiny Echeverria as the most fun name to say in baseball. Randy Arozarena. Try it. Do it at home if you're listening right now. Rolls off the tongue. Randy Arozarena. The nice Z in there, a rose. It's fun to say. Randy Arozarena. Rolls off the tongue. Fun to say. Fun name to say. He's been a fun player to watch. .727, 3 homers so far. To me, the Rays in this series have shown why they are the best team in the AL. They're tough at 1 through 9. So the lineup is producing all throughout the lineup, which is what you need. They're not top heavy. They're not relying on 1 player or 2 players to get all the big hits for them. And their pitching is locked down. Their bullpen is one of the best, if not the best in the game. Arm after arm after arm. Throwing hard, getting strikeouts. And the Yankees just are failing to make contact. So that's why, to me, I expect the Rays, even though they're going with a bullpen game tonight, the Yankees are starting Jordan Montgomery. I expect the Rays to wrap up the series tonight. I really do. After dropping game 1, I think they'll win 3 in a row. Kick the Yankees to the curb and move on to the ALCS, where they could maybe face the most hated team in baseball, the Houston Astros. Because in their series against the A's so far, I hate to say it, I think the Astros are going to be a problem this postseason. They struggled in the regular season. They were 2 games under .500 when they made the playoffs. Went right through the Twins, kept their postseason miseries going on, and now against the A's, one of the best teams in baseball, one of the best teams in the AL, they're handling them so far. It's almost like, unfortunately, the Astros woke up. They went through that malaise. They kind of felt sorry for themselves. They were distracted by all the hate, all the vitriol that came their way after this offseason where there's no justifying their cheating. But there's just a lot of attention and a lot of it's just a lot of hatred towards Houston. And it seemed that to really, bog them down in the regular season. They couldn't get out of their funk. It's like they get to the postseason, they wake up. Hey, we're really talented. George Springer, great player, busting out in the playoffs. Carlos Correa, hitting well so far in the playoffs. I hate to say it. The Astros still have a lot of talent on their team. Trash can or no trash can, buzzers or no buzzers, this lineup is still really damn good. It's deep. It's filled with great players. And it's like finally the Astros offensively woke up and now are playing to their potential. So I'm a little worried about their pitching. Zach Greinke, we'll see if he's going to pitch today. There's really nothing been said. He was supposedly getting his arm checked out a few days ago to see what's going on there. There may be some thought he could pitch today, maybe not. There's really, it's a lot of close to the vest managing so far from Dusty Baker on the pitching. Pitching does get me a little worried. The A's really crushed it yesterday in their win to stave off elimination. But the Astros are up 2-1. Foot on the throat, I do think they'll get it done today. I think it'll be an Astros-Rays ALCS, and man, if the Astros make it to the World Series, if the Astros win the World Series, oh boy. Oh boy. I don't think we'll ever hear the end of it from Houston. And that would just be, I don't think that would be, honestly, it would be good for the sport of baseball attention-wise. That would not be good for the sport in any other facet of the game. They just want pure attention. They should be rooting for the Astros. But I, like the other 29 fan bases, can't do that. Absolutely not doing that, but my rooting interest and what I think is going to happen are two different things. I think the Astros will get it done. I think the Rays will get it done in the AL. We'll have our Astros-Rays ALCS. In the NL, talk about a shock. Braves and Marlins. How about the Braves pitching? They've played 4 games so far. 2 against the Reds, 2 against the Marlins. In those 4 games, they have 3 shutouts. Say what you want about the Marlins. Say what you want even about the Reds. They got kind of hot late. 3 shutouts in 4 postseason games is unheard of. Impressive no matter which way you slice it, especially considering Mike Soroka, one of the best pitchers for the Braves this year, coming into the year, hurt, 2 weeks into the season, out for the rest of the year. Their depth behind their first starter, Max Fried, not great. Not really good at all, actually. And you had Ian Anderson bursting onto the scene. Yet another impressive postseason performance last night. Shuts the Marlins out. The bullpen slams the door. The Braves are winning, and I honestly did not think it would be because of their pitching. Not a shot in hell. I thought they would lose and get bounced in the playoffs early because of the lack of depth in the starting pitching. I like their lineup a lot. Ronald Acuña Jr., Freddie Freeman. Now, apparently, Travis d'Arnaud is actually good at baseball. As a Mets fan, I didn't think that was actually possible. But Travis d'Arnaud this year he's almost like Jesus Christ. He's turning water into wine. With the turn he's had so far, getting clutch homers in the postseason. Another big hit yesterday. This guy's unbelievable. This guy's unfreaking believable. So the lineup is really good, but the pitching has been the story so far for the Braves. Very, very, very impressive. They'll win today. Sixto Sanchez has been a great story for Miami. I think the Braves will get it done. They'll move on. And on paper, so far, I think the most exciting series so far. Padres and Dodgers out there late at night. If you've been able to stay up, it's been worth it so far. Clayton Kershaw, we know his struggles in the postseason. Pitched pretty well yesterday. 6 innings, 3 runs, 6 Ks. We've seen it implode on the biggest stages. So good for Clayton Kershaw to get it done. Pitch well, give the team a chance. And man, if you missed last night's game, there was a lot going on here. I hope if you're not on Twitter, get on it. Just type in Cody Bellinger, you see it right away. He made one of the best catches in terms of the moment and what it meant in playoff baseball so far. Robbed a 2-run homer for Fernando Tatis Jr. in the 7th inning. Would have put the Padres up by 1, flipped the momentum completely in San Diego's favor, takes it away. That is a tremendous highlight, a tremendous play by Cody Bellinger. But you know what was even better than that? This is something it's hard to see on highlights because the TV didn't really, the TV broadcast didn't really show it too much. But Brusdar Graterol, he was the relief pitcher for the Dodgers that almost served up the 2-run homer to Tatis Jr. if it wasn't for Cody Bellinger. Once you saw Bellinger make the catch in the 7th inning, now this is the 7th inning. The game's not over. This wasn't a series clinching win, but this is just game 2 of the NLDS. In the 7th inning, mind you. Still a lot of game to go. But after Graterol saw Cody Bellinger bail him out, he did a glove flip, threw his glove off, threw his hat off after the catch. That is, to me, even better than the catch itself. We see bat flips, and I love bat flips. We see players pimp home runs, and I'm all for that. How about the pitchers now getting some love? How about the pitchers pimping their hits, pimping their strikeouts, pimping them getting out of situations and jams? Now, sure, he didn't get a strikeout. Should have been a 2-run homer. Got bailed out. The glove flip, the hat flip. He then proceeded to blow a kiss to Manny Machado, who was upset at the glove flip, and waved him bye-bye. This is what baseball needs. I love the hitters having fun. We always talk about let the kids play. I'm all for the bat flips. Manny Machado had himself a hell of a bat throw the inning before for the home run he hit. How about the pitchers getting involved? Let's do more pitcher glove flips, more pitcher hat flips. It caused some juice. The Padres weren't happy. The Dodgers were upset that the Padres were upset. It added some great juice, some great energy to an already fun and exciting postseason series. Let's get it more. I'm advocating for more hat flips, more glove flips from pitchers. Let's pimp strikeouts and getting out of innings, just like batters pimp home runs. That is exactly what baseball needs. Speaking of pitchers, hat tip so far what the Dodgers have been able to do. They have silenced the big bats in this Padre lineup. Tatis Jr., 1 for 8 in this series. Manny Machado, 1 for 8 in this series. Eric Hosmer, 1 for 8 in this series. So you're trying to... Dodger pitching has done a great job of silencing the big bats so far. The Padre lineup is a big reason why they are up 2-0. Big reason why If you haven't watched much of the series, Game 3 is going to be a must watch. I highly suggest you tune in. It's been a fun, exciting, intense series so far. It's only going to continue. So if you're a fan of playoff baseball, if you watch a lot of games so far, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has been your biggest playoff takeaway so far? Is it the Yankees struggling? Is it the Rays just incredible play so far? Is it the Dodgers pitching? Speaking of pitching, how about the Braves? 3 shutouts in 4 games. I'd love to hear your biggest playoff takeaway so far through all the playoff baseball we've seen. Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio on Twitter, Ryan Hickey Show on Twitter. So get your thoughts. And when we come back, could Dabo Swinney be a good head coach for the Houston Texans? Give you my thoughts next. It is the Ryan Hickey Show right here on the Worldwide Sports Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is the Ryan Hickey Show, hour number 2, coming to you live from the Big Italy Pizzeria Studios. Great pizza, hot heroes, and phenomenal does. You can get it all in person, either Big Italy Pizzeria in Medford, Joe's Pizzeria in Bayshore, or, of course, online, anywhere, anytime, BigItalyPizza.com. We're talking a lot of NFL. Should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game against the Bills? More positive tests keep on coming out. Daniel Rossini is reporting that the schedule could get moved around. The Bills have a Thursday night game scheduled a week from today. That could get pushed to Saturday. And that their game this week against the Titans could be moved to either Monday or Tuesday, similar to what we did last week when the Chiefs-Patriots game was moved to Monday night following the positive test of Cam Newton. So getting your thoughts. Should the Titans be forced to forfeit their game? According to the rules of Roger Goodell and the memo he sent out to all NFL teams last week, the answer should be yes. The answer should absolutely be yes. They laid out if protocols aren't followed, forfeitures are in order, or it could be a possibility. But out here, I can't get on the Titans. I can't blame them too much. So getting your thoughts, Facebook, Worldwide Sports Network, Twitter, WWSRN_radio, or at Ryan Hickey Show. So get your thoughts before we get out of here. Hickey's Pickies in 30 minutes with the great Dan Bianculli. Very excited to have him on as our celebrity guest picker, Mr. Hawaiian Dan himself. Some great insight he will bring, I'm sure. But I do want to get into now the biggest news heading into the week before we found out that the Titans practice illegally. And that was the first axe coming down on a head coach. If I was a betting man, I would have put money on Matt Patricia. I would put money on Adam Gase. I would not have put money on Bill O'Brien, but little do we know as we sit here as the Texans are 0-4. Bill O'Brien as head coach, Bill O'Brien as general manager have been fired. Now there's an opening in Houston with Deshaun Watson and the Texans going forward. Who will they tap? Who will they hire to hopefully turn this team around? Because there's a lot to turn around. This is going to be a major project for whoever takes over as GM and whoever takes over as head coach. One of those names being floated out there recently this week was Clemson coach Dabo Swinney. And I remember, obviously, Deshaun Watson, a Clemson graduate, went to back-to-back national title games with Dabo Swinney at Clemson, won one, lost one. And now, because, it's easy to put 2 and 2 together, Deshaun Watson in Houston, you had Dabo talk about how he was going to be the Michael Jordan of quarterbacks. Whoever passed him would regret it. So far, it's looking right. Do you think he would be interested in taking the job? Well, Dabo was asked that question earlier this week at a Clemson press conference. This is what he had to say.
Have you heard from Deshaun since the shakeup in Houston yesterday? And are you ready for your name to be kind of floating around with that job over the next few weeks, few months?
I have not heard from Deshaun, and that is not even anything that I want to even have to even think about. It's just, you would be the one to ask that question. All the questions. And you want to ask anything about Miami? Next question.
Okay.
That is not even being entertained. Dabo was about to say, before he caught himself, that is so far down the road. Meaning, yeah, I'll entertain it. Right now I'm trying to win a national title at Clemson, but hey, once that season's over, that is so far down the road. I'm not thinking about it now, but guess what? Come December, come January, if those Texans come calling, I'm going to answer. I may not take it, but I'll at least listen. So that has me thinking this. If the Texans hire Dabo Swinney, if he becomes the next Texans head coach starting in 2021, without a doubt in my mind, he would be one of the worst head coaches in NFL history. And there have been, trust me, we don't know, there have been some brutal head coaching hires. Lou Holtz with the Jets, awful. Hugh Jackson with the Browns recently, god-awful. Without a doubt in my mind, if Dabo Swinney takes the head coaching job with the Texans, if Cal McNair, the owner of Houston, decides, you know what, Dabo's our guy going forward, we're going to make the hire, we're going to do whatever we can to roll it out here to get him to be our next head coach. It would be one of the worst mistakes any NFL team has ever made with a head coach for a few reasons. Number one, his style, his shtick, if you will, does not translate to the NFL. We've seen rah-rah coaches in college work. Pete Carroll, right, at USC, he was a motivator. More the defensive side of the ball, but his overall job as CEO, essentially, of the USC program was to fire guys up, get them ready to play, recruit as good as hell to get those best players in Southern California at USC's campus. He did a tremendous job of that. USC was a dynasty. They were a juggernaut when he was in charge. Went to the NFL. Part of the reason why it works is because his rah-rah shtick was not the same as Dabo's. He had NFL experience with the Patriots and with the Jets. He knew how to treat professionals like professionals. Having this motivational cliche talk of, oh, look at us at little old Clemson, or after they beat Notre Dame to really get their first big-time win, trying to really first pronounce Clemson's on the scene back in 2015. The first year they went to the national championship with Deshaun Watson and lost. We had that phrase, bring your own guts, BYOG. They have the Roy bus. Keep thinking that they're the underdog here with little old Clemson. Continue to shock everyone, continue to get disrespected. You know what professionals would do when they hear that? Roll their eyes. That college rah-rah stuff does not work in the pros. We've seen it before. It does not work. Players will stop listening. They'll think you're a joke. And if you try to treat them like college kids, you're going to be in big trouble. And that's the last thing professional athletes are. That is the last thing professional athletes are. So I'm worried about his style. I don't think it would translate at all in any way in a positive in the NFL. Can't recruit talent in the pros. This is one of Dabo's greatest strengths at Clemson as a head coach in college football. He is able, no matter where the kid is, no matter how good he is, no matter where he's leaning, to get into that living room with parents. Talk to kids in high school when they have offers from Ohio State, from Alabama, from Georgia, from name it, every big-time program. He has done a phenomenal job at convincing them to go to Clemson, South Carolina, play for him. I'll give you a chance to turn it around here to get you to the pros. He's succeeded tremendously at that. But you know what you can't do in the pros? You can't recruit. Can't go to any big-time free agent. You can't go to DeAndre Hopkins's. Maybe that's a bad example. I'm going to use DeAndre Hopkins anyway. Can't go to his agent and say, hey, listen, we'd love to have DeAndre back here with Houston. Bill Bryan's got him into a mistake. We'd love DeAndre back. Look at the receiving core we have. We need your help. Can't go to any offensive lineman because, man, they need help on the offensive line. Say, hey, we need you to come here to Houston. Play for me. Protect Deshaun Watson. Can't do it. So I'm curious. I really am curious how good of a coach he can be when he doesn't have an overwhelming talent advantage. And let's be honest, that's what Clemson has. Now, to his credit, he has built that talent advantage at Clemson. He's done it himself. He was there when it first started. He's taken some lumps. He's taken some bad losses. But he himself helped to build the massive talent gap between Clemson and everybody else in the ACC. But how good of a coach can you be when all things are equal? Or, in the case of the Texans right now, you have less talent than a lot of teams you play. Let's be honest, outside of Deshaun Watson, that roster is awful. A lot of teams you're playing have more talent than you. You have the advantage at the quarterback, and that does help a lot. That cleans up a lot of mistakes, gives you a chance. The offensive line, wide receiver, defense, running back. A lot of teams have better talent than you. So how good of a coach can you be when the talent advantage is equal or maybe even less? I have my doubts. And he has the right, if you want to say mentality in college as more of a CEO mentality, right? He doesn't coach the offense, he doesn't coach the defense. He's more the manager, the CEO. That does help becoming a pro coach. Look at Matt Rule, CEO at Temple, CEO at Baylor, now essentially the CEO with the Panthers. They've had some success so far. Panthers are playing hard. But his best issue, and the best issue, or I should say when your greatest attribute is just collecting talent and then giving it to your coaches to coach up, to develop, to put them in a position to win, that just doesn't happen in the pros. Can't just collect talent and good talent as easy as you can when you're in college. And finally, we'll just go back to that question he just asked. He was asked and then answered. The media scrutiny in the NFL, I don't think would do Dabo much good. We've already seen him a few times put his foot in his mouth. He's not crushed for the most part. He's not really criticized because he's winning 11, 12, 13, 14 games a year. He's getting to national title games. He's winning national championships. And as we know, winning cures all. Winning solves a lot of issues. But now when you're asking these hard questions, when you're getting mad at media members because they're asking you valid questions, right? He just got mad. The clip I just played you. A valid question from a Clemson reporter. Has Deshaun Watson reached out to you? That was your former quarterback. His team just fired their head coach and their general manager. You guys had a lot of success at Clemson. Did he reach out to you at all and ask, hey, would you be interested, coach, in coaching me now in the pros? And Dabo Swinney, as you heard, got frustrated and upset because he was asked that question, a very valid question, not unfair, not a cheap shot, very well timed, and he's upset because no one's asking him about the Miami game this week. Hate to tell you, Dabo, that's not how journalism works. They don't ask you the questions you want them to ask. They ask the questions that need to be asked. They ask the questions that people are talking about. This was a talking point this week. We're talking about it right now. See, you don't have to like the question, but don't get mad at the reporter for asking a perfectly valid question and you just don't like it because you don't want to answer it. So I have my doubts when you get to Houston, dealing with that Houston media, dealing with the NFL media, that it's going to work out okay. That he's going to be able to handle all that pressure, be in a fishbowl the entire time he's there. So I have, without a doubt in my mind, if Dabo Swinney's hired in 2021 to be the Texans head coach, he would be the worst head coach, one of the worst we've ever seen. It would set the Texans franchise back a while. I'm not kidding. I feel perfectly confident saying that. I think what he has works perfectly in college football, works perfectly at Clemson. Does not translate much anywhere else, especially to the pros. Maybe you can go from, Clemson to Alabama. If that's the job he truly wants when Nick Saban retires, he takes that. His style could translate there. But in terms of translating it to the pros, it does not at all. Motivational cliches work with college kids. You're there 2 or 3 years. They're young. They're impressionable. Let's also be honest. Even if they don't buy it, they're there to go to the pros. They're there to win national championships, yes. They're there to play the best they possibly can, yes. But they're also there to go to the next level. They've seen Dabo Swinney in this Clemson program has done a great job of putting players in positions to get to the next level. Get drafted high, play well in the pros, get paid. So you're willing to put up with maybe some BS to try to get to that level that once you're there, you're not going to go with. Pros aren't going to deal with being treated like college kids, being treated like babies. Getting cliches yelled at them 24/7. So I am very confident if Dabo Swinney is hired, it would be an abject failure for the Texans organization. So I'm curious your thoughts. Worldwide Sports Network on Facebook, WWSRN_radio, at Ryan Hickey Show. Would Dabo Swinney be a good fit for the Texans? Should they pursue him? Should Dabo take it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Dabo Swinney, and possibly into the NFL. What do you think? Would it be a good move? Yes or no, and why? We'll get your thoughts. And when we come back, the Lakers did something I did not think they were capable of doing. I'll tell you what that is when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
We're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hickey's Pickies. Very excited. Week number 5 edition. My apologies. Week number 5 edition coming up next. My guy, Dan Bianculli, high school friend, moved out to Hawaii. Still there, actually, but comes home for a few weeks here. Of course, while he's on the East Coast, while he's on the time really that he can actually listen, considering the show in Hawaii starts at 3 a.m. Got to have him on. Got to get his thoughts. Very, very, very excited. We'll see if we can turn the tide a little bit. It's been a rough few weeks for celebrity guest pickers. Lauren started off really set the bar very high. Started off 5-0 against the spread without really knowing, to be honest, anything. She'll tell you that. She started off 5-0, crushed it. Maldi crumbled to the pressure, 1-4. Our guy Tyler last week, 2-3. So we'll see if Danny can turn the tide a little bit, maybe get a winning record for celebrity guest pickers, maybe even, give Lauren a little run for her money. With the upset special now, when you get points for calling an upset when they cover or even they win, he can supplant Lauren, jump ahead of her, get some bonus points, and take that number one prize. So we'll see. We'll get Dan's thoughts just about 10 minutes or so on week number 5 of Hickey's Pickies. So I do want to get into the Lakers here, and I do want to give them credit going back to Tuesday night. Game number 4, Lakers up 2-1. Heat get Bam Adebayo back. Really grinded out defensive-minded game. Like I said in the tease here, the Lakers did something that I think they weren't capable of doing. I didn't think they could do. And that's win a game when Anthony Davis and LeBron James basically don't dominate the game. When they don't take over, don't play incredible, phenomenal basketball, I think the Lakers could win. And they did that on Tuesday night. Now, it's not like LeBron or AD played bad. Not like Game 3 bad. They play average, I would say. LeBron still turned the ball over. Nothing phenomenal, nothing great. Neither of them took the game over. But down the stretch and throughout the entire game, they were given a boost. They were bailed out, if you will. They were helped out. I should more say helped out, not bailed out. They were helped out by the role players, by the bench players, which is something that I really honestly thought since the playoffs started. Since the bubble started, I've been basically saying it every single show I've talked about the Lakers and talked about the bubble. I thought eventually the biggest downfall of the Lakers would be just the roster around LeBron and AD was not good enough to carry them to where if they didn't take over every single night, they would be a loss. Game 3, I was proven right. Game 4, on Tuesday night, I was proven wrong. And I'll give the Lakers credit. When I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I have no problem with that, and I was wrong. So in the biggest game, this is a massive swing game. But you lose this, Bam returns, Heat tied at 2-2. Lakers are in real big trouble. Lakers are in real big trouble. Instead, the bench comes through, the role players come through. They take a commanding 3-1 lead. And essentially now, barring a miracle, we hope LeBron won his 4th NBA title. They go for that on Friday night. And we're going back to Tuesday. LeBron, 28 points, shot 50% from the field. It's pretty good. 8 assists. AD, 22 points, also shot 50% from the field, 9 rebounds. But again, both pretty good games. If you heard Aaron Rodgers, I'll connect an Aaron Rodgers quote to these two. Aaron Rodgers on Tuesday was on Pat McAfee's show. And basically, when asked about, what's different this year, was there any, did you have any doubts about previous years you didn't play that well? And Aaron Rodgers dropped a bomb by saying, most of my down years are career years for most quarterbacks. Bomb, right? My down years are career years for most quarterbacks. And he's not wrong. 26 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We're asking, is Rodgers done? Another year, I think it was 24 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, something like that. Is he done? Is it over? Can he still play well? And I will say that, and I will use that same quote for LeBron and AD. This would be considered a down game. I feel confident saying LeBron had a average game. Definitely not by far his best. AD, same thing. But their down games, their average games, are career nights for a lot of players. So while they played solid, they played all right. Nowhere near the level they played a lot of this postseason at. And I thought that was enough to where, again, if they didn't completely take over the game, the Lakers would be in trouble. But role players, again, were a massive reason why the Lakers took a 3-1 lead on Tuesday night. Danny Green, 10 points. Contributions on the offensive side and the defensive side. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 15 points, hit 3 threes, and has a few buckets late, big buckets late, to help extend the Laker lead. Markieff Morris, Kyle Kuzma, 9 points each, but they also played really well in Game 3 as well, when LeBron and AD played really, really, really bad and lost that game. So now this is a game where their role players stepped up. Their role players played well. And down the stretch, they were making some big plays to secure the win. I just mentioned Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, about 3 minutes after so, turned a 2-point lead for the Lakers into a 7-point lead. He personally went on a 5-0 run, hit a 3, made another layup. Not the biggest deal, considering the fact that we have not seen that before. At least I shouldn't say we haven't seen that before when the Lakers are playing a close game. Because you know what I compared this bench to and what I thought they were this entire year? I thought the Lakers bench and their role players were front runners. Here's what I mean by that. When the Lakers were playing well, and more importantly, when LeBron and AD were playing well, when LeBron's dishing out assists, knocking down shots, when AD is dominating down low, 30 points, 35 points, 40 points, scooping up rebounds left and right, imposing as well in the defense, that's when the other role players stepped up and played well. That's when KCP would knock down threes. That's when Danny Green would knock down threes. That's when Rajon Rondo would work his way to the basket and get 10, 12, 15 points. The role players played their best when their two best players were dominating and had all the attention of the defense. When they were struggling, when they weren't knocking down shots, when they needed help, the bench and the role players could not get it done, and I thought that was going to continue this whole series. But credit to them. Because again, LeBron and AD played all right. Nothing dominant, nothing crazy. But to the Lakers bench and their role player credit, they stepped up and they played well. When they really were relied upon, they came through, which is something we really haven't seen so far through the playoffs. And the biggest stage on the finals, up 2-1 with a massive swing game at stake, I give them a lot of credit. Game 3, we saw they disappeared. KCP's missing shots. Danny Green couldn't hit water from a boat. Rajon Rondo is invisible. Right, playoff Rondo, all of a sudden, we can't find him. Game 4, they stepped up, and I'll give them a lot of credit. They did step up. They did the necessary plays in order to help get the Lakers a win, And like I said, they put LeBron James in a position of 3-1 to get his 4th championship. Inch closer to Michael Jordan. Just pad the resume at this point. And get a Laker championship for the first time in a decade. That is due in large part to the role players in Game 4. LeBron and AD did a ton to get them there. Did a ton to put them in this position where really one game where they all stepped up would be enough to kind of get them over the hump and win. They did it. They did it. I had my doubts. They haven't done it before. They struggled. Really, go back to Portland in Game 1. Go back to the Rockets in Game 1 of their series. Go back to the one game they lost to Denver, and now go back to Game 3 when they lost to the Heat. The 4 playoff games the Lakers lost, there's there's really 2 common denominators. LeBron and AD struggled. With them struggling, the bench and the role players struggled as well. None of them stepped up to play well. None of them really gave them a chance to say, hey, you know what? AD's having a bad night. Let me step up to be the guy to knock down some big shots. In a clutch moment, when we need a 3, let me be the one to step up and knock down that 3. Game 4, that was done. Throughout the entire game, whether it's on the defensive end, flustering the Heat, or again, whether it's on the offensive end, KCP knocking down some big shots, Danny Green hitting a few threes, Kuzma late, Markieff Morris late. They stepped up when it mattered most, and I give them a lot of credit. Like I said, barring a miracle, LeBron will now get his 4th championship. They play Game 5, tomorrow night. We'll see if the Lakers can get it done. I think my belief in the Heat, my pick of the Heat is not looking too good. We'll say that. It's not looking too good at all. Lakers look like all have this wrapped up in large part because of the way that their role players have played in last week's game, or in last Tuesday's game, excuse me. So when we come back, we will finish up the show as we always do every single Thursday. Hickey's Pickies. Very excited for our celebrity guest picker. Guy flew in from Hawaii just to get on the show. So we'll get his thoughts on what he's feeling, pick a few games, and we'll have a lot of fun talking about the weekend slate when the Ryan Hickey Show returns right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to the Ryan Hickey Show, right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. It is Thursday, so you know what that means. It is time for Hickey's Pickies, and I am very excited for our next celebrity guest picker. One of my good friends from high school, and more importantly, a man so dedicated to Hickey's Pickies. As a current resident of Hawaii, knew it was too early, couldn't wake up at 3 a.m. to do the picks. So you know what he said? I want to come to the East Coast. I'm going to get on your time, and I'm going to come on. So a man straight out of Hawaii, live on the East Coast, it is the great Dan Bianculli. Danny, what's up, buddy?
Hickey, first time, long time. Thanks for having me on.
How long were you waiting to say that for?
Years. And I got to say, I'm representing the state of Hawaii, and a lot of bones to pick with your Tua takes.
Hey, I know. It was, as a, like you are very close to the Tua community out there in Hawaii. I would say I had some mean words, but I had some concerns. I had some concerns about Tua's health. You did not appreciate that. Your brethren out there did not appreciate that.
Yeah, it's still time to win you over, though. You're welcome. You're welcome to the Aloha State anytime.
Thank God. I was worried, as soon as I touched down, there'd be a pitchfork army of Tua's relatives ready to chase me back to the East Coast. But good to know at least the doors are open in Hawaii. We're glad to have you back on the East Coast, and glad to have you on the show, Danny. As you know,
yes,
Tyler was on last week. It's been a little bit of a rough go these last weeks for celebrity guest pickers. Lauren started us off hot, 5-0. But since then, Maldi, 1-4. Your boy Kroll, 2-3. I know the bar is set at just beating Kroll at 2-3. The door's open for you. Do you make some damage and make a move here?
Well, and I listened to Kroll last week. Unfortunately, I missed Maldi. I'm sure he did great, but
Kroll's 1-4. Hopefully he didn't listen too well.
But everyone comes in with these expert analyses, and Lauren just goes to show that picking games sometimes is just easy as luck.
That's it.
So that's the approach I'm taking.
Now, before we get going here, you said you did have a little tidbit you wanted to drop to the audience, maybe a little bit of a humble brag. You want to put that out there now?
That's right. So I was hesitant about coming on because as far as the world is concerned, I'm 5-0 picking games. So November 4th, 2018, little history lesson. I'm looking at the tweet right now, 7:45 a.m. Made 5 picks, and you can check the timestamps. We went 5-0 that week. So I got a perfect record to defend, and I'm planning on extending.
Wow. Going back 2 years almost. We were just a month away from that date. This guy, 5-0 then, trying to go 5-0 now. I love that. Danny, are you ready for week number 5 of Hickey's Pickies?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, let's go here. So a little a tough slate. So we're going to do 2 college games, 3 NFL games. There's always an upset special. 1 point for covering, 2 points if they pull the outright upset for teams underdog bigger than 5 points or less. So we'll go to college here. 2 ranked matchups. Number 14, Tennessee. The Vols, a lot of hype this offseason for their recruiting trail. Getting 12.5 points on the road at number 3, Georgia, between the hedges. You're an SEC man yourself. You're a South Carolina man yourself. Or a fan, I should say, not man. What are you thinking here, Danny? Go Cox. What are you thinking here in this SEC clash?
I'm not even an expert on this stuff, but I've been hearing, I feel like for years, that this is the year, right? A lot of going back to like Tyler Bray years.
There's a reference right there.
And I'm a believer in disbelieving, and I hear year after year that this is the year that Tennessee, great program, good recruiting, and I just don't buy it. So definitely not going with Tennessee.
You know what they say? Great minds think alike, right, Danny? The exact reason you just laid out there for taking Georgia is the exact reason why I'm also taking Georgia. Every single year, I'm sick of it. Tennessee, this is the year that, they got a good recruiting job. This is the right head coach for them to be in. They finished strong last year. I don't care. This is, you know what this is? This is a men amongst boys. Georgia, they are men. Tennessee is just boys. They want to be with the men. They want to get into that club. They're not in there yet. The men always beat the boys. I'm with you. I'm taking Georgia. Lay the 12.5. They just dominated Auburn last week. Those are men right there. Men amongst boys. I'm with you. Take Georgia. I love that phrase. I'm a believer in disbelieving. Couldn't agree more.
As a Met fan, we know that well, right?
Oh, too well. Oh, man. How about Travis d'Arnaud, Danny? I was saying this earlier. I mean, he gets off the Mets, and now he finally knows how to play baseball. It's unbelievable, this guy.
No, I'm not even surprised. It's poetic at this point. I could have told you that 2 years ago, that he was going to just light it up and be like World Series MVP someday. But anyway, different topic for a different day, I think. Yeah.
When Steve Cohen hopefully is officially approved, we'll have to have you on and hopefully talk about the future, actually believing for once in the Mets. That'd be a fun day for sure. All right, so we're both
for Uncle Stevie.
Oh God, the Mets, the Mets. What a time to be alive for sure. So we're both on Georgia for game number 1. Game number 2, we will stick in the SEC. Oh, I'm sorry, we'll go to the ACC. Excuse me. Another ranked matchup, prime time, number 7 Miami. Could this be the year Miami's back? Everyone wants the year to be back. They're getting to 2 touchdowns, plus 14 at number 1 Clemson. Danny, is it the time for the Hurricanes to jump on the national stage here? Or are you a believer in disbelieving?
So, I got a little trivia here before we get started.
Okay. Trivia.
Do you know, because I wasn't familiar with this, but I just thought their mascot was a duck, the Hurricanes. Do you know what their mascot is?
Oh, I know, I'm blanking on the exact term, but it's a very complicated, fancy word for bird. Yes, what is it?
It's only 4 letters, Hick. It's an ibis.
Ibis, yes.
It's an ibis. And just a shout out to my good friend Jody Rodriguez, who's listening, diehard Hurricanes fan. This guy has a tattoo of the ibis on his chest, smoking a cigar.
Wow, really?
Right? And so when I saw this game on the slate, I reached out to him because I want to know. He's been to like countless Hurricanes games, so I wanted to get his opinion. And I said, "Do you think Miami covers?" And he said, "I don't think they cover." So you know what that means? That means that I'm picking them to cover. I'm going against Jody, and I'm picking the Canes. I like the Canes here.
You know what? I respect that. As a fan, I feel like it's, me personally, I think you can kind of fall in this. Well, actually, I don't know. You're more realistic than I am. I definitely fall into, like, the hype. I can buy into, you know what? Like, if this goes right, they could definitely do it. And then reality sets in, and usually whatever I say goes wrong. So I respect that you said Yachty? Jody, I apologize. Jody, he is a fan of realism. I respect that. So you are going Miami and the Ibis to cover. I'm going Clemson here. I think this is very similar to me with Georgia and Tennessee. Clemson is one of those dominant teams. Now, Miami has, they have come into the 21st century finally with a mobile quarterback. It feels like eternity since they actually look like a somewhat exciting offense for once. But the King State Kings for me, Danny. Clemson's Kings. They remind everyone who is the top dog in the ACC. I think Clemson wins this one and wins handily. Now, I do have a question for you about Yachty really quick here. So he has an Ibis tattoo with him smoking a cigar, assuming obviously that's for like a national championship they won. You see one of those guys that has like every year that they win a title tattooed? And like one of those guys that's going to put like 2021 Miami U national champs that we'll see like on Twitter next year?
You know what? Maybe you'll just have to have him on and ask him that question.
Maybe.
But no. Just one. I think it's one tattoo. Ibis smoking. It's either a pipe or a cigar. I'm not sure, but it's he's a real one.
Yeah, listen. Anyone that just has doubt about their team, I respect. You don't get caught up in the hype. You look at them from a realistic perspective. But Danny going against the advice. He's taking Miami. I'm going Clemson. Our first disagreement. and we'll go to game number 3. We'll go to the NFL the rest of the way. How about a little Thursday night action tonight, Danny? We'll see it on the tube tonight. Buccaneers banged up, giving 4. They are -4 at the Bears. And more Nick Foles magic here, or is Brady taking care of business?
Wow. Okay, breaking news. I wasn't even aware that this was a Thursday night game. So my plan here, you know what I did? I'm a big weather guy, Hick.
Okay.
Big weather guy. And so I looked up the forecast for Sunday. And the forecast was 71 degrees and beautiful. And that sounds to me like Tampa Bay weather.
Okay.
But I'm looking it up now. Let's get a little live.
I was gonna say I'm looking. We'll see who can get it first. The game's in Chicago, if that helps.
Right. I knew that.
Just to make sure we're not looking, the wrong way. Let's see.
Yep.
Chicago.
As long as it's north of like 60 degrees, I'm picking the Bucks because.
Ooh, okay. Here we go.
I'm not a believer in the Bears at all. I think Foles had some magic. I think underrated factor here is Brady redemption game against Foles.
Ooh.
I think Brady's going to come out obviously motivated. I saw he's got an unreal red zone connection with Mike Evans. He threw a ball like 20 feet in the air, and Evans just snapped it and landed in the end zone. Like, they're unstoppable in the red zone. And I'm just, the Bears are one of those teams that I think they're pretenders. It's early. They've got a few wins with Trubisky, but I don't buy it. I like Tampa here, as long as the weather's above 60 degrees.
So I'm looking right now. So they're obviously Central Time. Game's at 8 o'clock. So 7 o'clock in Chicago, it's going to be 58 degrees. Now, it's clear. The lowest will drop down to is 57 with a 5-mile-an-hour wind. Does that change at all your thoughts? Not 65, not 60, 57 degrees. Can Tom Brady play well in chillier weather, we'll say?
Yeah. Tough, but yeah, I think they do. As long as it's nothing radical. I think Tom's a New England guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But 57 is nothing crazy. I played golf in colder weather.
Humble brag. It gets that cold in Hawaii?
No, I played it last week when I came back. I was actually freezing my jimmies off, but no, it does not dip below like 75 in Hawaii.
I was gonna say that's like a winter weather advisory if it's like 58 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Close everything down. Danny,
so I'm going Bucks.
Going the Bucks. 58 degrees, no problem for Brady. You're taking the Bucks. I'm with you. Great minds think alike here again. This Bears, I'm totally with it. The Bears are so fraudulent. They've played, so what is it? They played 4 games, 4 quarters. That's 16. They played 16 quarters of football so far, right? I would say they played 2 out of the 16. They played 2 good quarters. That's horrible. Like, they got lucky against the Lions. They got lucky against who was it? The Falcons. The Falcons. It's 2 quarters is not sustainable good football out of 16. This team stinks. They're one of the worst 3-0 teams last week. They're one of the worst 3-1 teams this week we've ever seen. Nick Foles, I don't trust at all. I'm with you. Brady, 5 touchdown passes last week. Going into Chicago, I'll take Tampa Bay. Don't like what Matt Nagy does with that offense. Bears, fraudulent. Frauds. Bucks cover and get the win. And what'd you say, Danny?
Couldn't agree more.
That's a division rival for you as a Vikings fan,
right.
Which we'll get to there in a second. So we're both on the Bucks for our first NFL game. We'll go a 4:25 game. This is a Sunday game, Danny, in case you looked at the weather. Colts are giving 2 points. The Browns are getting 2 points at home in Cleveland in the dog pound coming off that big win over the Cowboys last week. What are we thinking here? This is a tough one.
I just don't believe in the Browns at all. I mean, every 2 seconds I got Baker Mayfield on my screen with a commercial. Don't like him. Don't like OBJ. I think Chubb going down is an underrated factor. Yeah, they got Kareem Hunt, but, I'm not sure his stamina and whatnot after taking some time off, if he could handle a full load. But I was skeptical about Rivers and the Colts coming into the year, but they've actually played pretty well. So I like the Colts here. I think the Browns are another group of pretenders.
All right, Browns, in Danny's mind, pretenders. Colts laying the 2 on the road. You're taking it. I'm with you. Wow, we agree a lot here. Similar to Kroll, though. I think me and Kroll agreed on, 4 to the 5 games. And so far, out of the 4 games, we agree on 3. I'm with you, Danny. This is a game where I am a little nervous about the Colts, to be honest. I'm not a big Philip Rivers fan. Very skeptical when they signed him. He scares me to death in the red zone. But they can run the ball. The Browns can run the ball. I'll take the better defense. Colts defense has been unreal. Thank you to DeForest Buckner. Just completely blowing up every team's offensive line so far. I'm with you. I'll take the team. They're a little bit healthier than the Colts. On the road, 2 points. You know what? I think they'll shut down Baker. I think they'll shut down the run game. I'm with you. Colts lane 2. I think they'll get it done. On the road in the dog pound. We'll go close to the heart for the 5th and final game, Danny. Your beloved Minnesota Vikings getting a full touchdown on the road, Sunday Night Football, prime time for everybody to see, against so far the NFL MVP and Russell Wilson. What are you thinking here?
So you got the emotional Vikings fan, but if I try to take everything out, if you go back to that time Blair Walsh missed that field goal, right, in that negative 26-degree weather, every time they play the Seattle Seahawks, they're basically the Seahawks or the Vikings' daddy. They play them so tough. You know, Kirk Cousins withers when he plays the Seahawks. He withers when he plays Sunday Night Football. That combined factor, I think the Seahawks just pound the Vikings into oblivion.
Wow.
I'm not taking the Vikings.
Wow. Not only are the Seahawks going to cover in your mind, taking the Seahawks, -7, they will pound them into oblivion. Blowout, just a pure massacre on TV. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a 2-touchdown game.
Whew. You know, it's funny. I have one line written for this. Kirk Cousins on the road in primetime, ? Ha. Ha. I'm with you.
Exactly.
Seahawks dominate this game, unfortunately. I hate to say it. Vikings off to a tough start. Is Mike Zimmer going to make it through the year, Danny?
I don't think he cares. Have you seen a picture of his girlfriend?
Okay, can we talk about that for a second? How? where does Mike Zimmer first of all even meet a girl that looks like this? Let alone like talk to someone who's half his age.
You know, a nice renewal of contract goes a long way, Hick.
Holy! If you haven't seen, just type in Mike Zimmer's girlfriend on Google, on Instagram, on Twitter. She tried to single-handedly try to bring the Vikings back from the dead last week, posting a topless photo. It worked. maybe that's the key to winning here for the Vikings. Just a new photo each week. And
Undertaker gif.
They'll go from 0-3 to 13-3, and Kirk Cousins all of a sudden will play the best football of his life. Yeah,
possible.
At least Mike Zimmer maybe not winning on the field, but he's winning off the field. That is for sure. Holy smokes! All right, Danny. So we agree on 4 of the games. The only disagreement so far is what is it? Oh, it's Miami and Clemson. You have Miami, I have Clemson. What is your upset special of the week? A team with a bigger underdog, a spread bigger than 5 points that can cover and or win for some bonus points. What are you thinking here?
So, being in Hawaii, you get a couple local teams, quote unquote, are the West Coast teams.
Okay.
You get to watch them quite a bit. And I've been watching the Chargers, the Bolt Gang, as they say.
That's what they say, the Bolt Gang?
Bolt Gang.
I kind of like that. Gang. Okay.
And so I've been impressed. I think, they got that young quarterback. He comes out with a lot of energy. He's got the air raid, something that Tyrod Taylor didn't have. He's got all those guys energized. Keenan Allen's getting balls. He's happy. And I've been very unimpressed with the Saints. I know you're rushing Drew Brees off the field. I don't know if that's necessarily time for that, but I've just been unimpressed with their offense. So if we're picking an upset, I like the Bolt Gang.
The Bolt Gang over the Saints. Now, to be fair, I'm not rushing Drew Brees off the field. I'm saying they can't win a Super Bowl with Drew Brees as their quarterback. Look, I think they'll still win, and they'll still win games. They'll make the playoffs. But what we've seen the last few years from Drew Brees, the guy who wilts in December, he wilts in the playoffs, and I think that's going to continue. I think it's going to start earlier than we think, honestly, this year. That's all. They might win this game, but you know what? Drew Brees, I'm telling you, can't win a Super Bowl as a quarterback at the Saints. That's just my thoughts. So you're taking the Bolt Gang. I like that. That was actually a game I saw. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm kind of with you. I like Justin Herbert. I like the way they're playing. I'm going to go down a well that our boy, Tyler did last week. For his upset special, he took the Dolphins at home. I believe it was 6.5 against the Seahawks. That obviously did not work out too well. So you know what? I'm going back down the well. The Dolphins are getting 9 points on the road in San Francisco. I hope Jimmy G doesn't play. We don't really know. I kind of bank on the fact that he doesn't. But I'm more banking on the fact, Danny, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's up and down, he's up and down, he's up and down. He played really well against the Jaguars and Gardner Minshew 2 weeks ago. Played not great against the Seahawks last week. So you know what that means. This guy is due. The pressure, people are starting to call for Tua to start for the Dolphins. That is when Ryan Fitzpatrick takes a hold of the starting job, plays his best. He will have a career 2 or 3 week stretch, I think, starting this week in San Francisco. 9 points on the road. Give me the Dolphins. Upset special here. At least cover. Maybe, you know what, with Fitzpatrick, you never know. They could even win the game. I'm going down the well again, just like our guy Tyler did last week. So there you have it. You're taking the Bolt Gang. I'm taking the Finns. And that is week number 5 of Hickey's Pickies. Danny, thank you so much for coming on, man. I hope that was fun, and we'll see if you can catapult up those standings and try to take down your boy Tyler.
It's an honor, Hick. If I go 5-0, I got to be back on next week.
Totally. We'll run it back. This guy was 5-0 2 years ago. He called it. He has the tweet to document it. And we'll see if we can go 5-0 again this week. Danny, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Great program, Hick.
My guy, Danny Bianculli, straight out of Hawaii to come on Hickey's Pickies and gives us the heat for week number 5 of Hickey's Pickies. Appreciate Danny for coming on. Appreciate all of you for listening. Wow, hold on. We got to get some. Danny, you still on the line?
I'm still on the line. Do I hang up?
Sorry, no. I'm glad you are. The show's still going here. Just some breaking news. I'm looking at Facebook. Rob, our guy Rob Young, is listening. Right on Facebook. Will Dan guarantee at least a playoff berth in fantasy this season? Yes or no? You're guaranteeing some locks here. Can you guarantee a fantasy football playoff berth?
Absolutely not. Kroll's my GM. He's doing a horrible job. We're 1-3. Wow. I don't know a single player on the roster. No guarantee.
Wow. All right. So there you go. He is high in the games he's picking, not high in his own fantasy football roster. Yikes. Tyler Kolakowski, not great with the picks last week. Now as GM of the fantasy football team, already in the hot seat. You have the owner of the team calling out his performance so far. That's definitely a must-watch as the season goes on. Just want to get that in there, Danny. I appreciate you staying on the line. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Hick.
The great Dan Bianco. Look at that. Putting the pressure on already for his general manager in fantasy football. So appreciate everyone who tuned in. Thanks so much for listening. We hope to make your Thursday a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more fun. And enjoy the games this weekend. Enjoy the college football action. Enjoy the NFL action. We'll have you all rip-roaring and ready to go for everything that happened this past weekend on Monday. So enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Stay sane. And as always, we'll talk to you Monday right here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.